So I've got my ground back at the switch. My circuit is complete throughout the door. Through there. Focus. And everything is functioning now. You can see it right there. The reason it didn't work originally was because I put my ground wire at this plug here. I put it in the wrong pin, so it wasn't going to anything.
All right, so let's back up for a second. What we have here is a 2009 Chevy HHR SS model, and the complaint is the driver's side rear window does not work. So originally, someone in the shop that was working on the car before I was working on it thought that the power window motor was bad. So we did some tests just to make sure that we had power going to the motor, and we did not have full power going to the motor. We had like 3 volts or something funky like that. So what we did was what I did was pull the wiring diagram up, and let me show you what we found. All right, this is the wiring diagram for the 2009 Chevy HHR. Now, when I got the car, the door panel was already off. Someone had already done some testing, as I mentioned earlier in the video. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video. Anyway, someone was doing testing. This is a used car check, and they did what I would do. Start at the power window motor, left rear window. It's not working, so you start at the motor. Or maybe I wouldn't start there. It depends on how difficult it is to get the door panel off. I may just start at the switch and see what's going on at the switch by pulling up the wiring diagram first, but the door panel was off, so I checked B and A, brown and dark blue, for power and or ground, while I'm pressing up and or down on the window switch. Well, not and or down. While I'm pressing up and down on the window switch, I'm looking for power and ground on one of these circuits. There should be power here when I'm pressing either up or down, and power here when I'm pressing either up or down, depending on which direction. It's going to reverse polarity. So if you wanted to go up, let's just say this is the up position, you would put power here and ground here, and if you wanted to go down, you would put power here and ground there, and it'll go down depending on, you know, it's a reverse polarity motor, reverse polarity system, so that's the way it works. And the power will come from this window switch, which is the left rear window switch. Alright, so since I didn't have good power or ground here, well, I don't think the ground was there. Anyway, I checked for power and ground here. Took my meter here, positive lead there, negative lead there, and I saw something like 3 volts. Shouldn't see 3 volts here when I'm hitting the up and down switch. I should see 12 volts. It should go 12 volt negative, 12 volt positive, depending on which way you hit the switch. Didn't see that, so like 3 volts. Something's wrong, so I went back to this guy here, the left rear window switch, which is already accessible because the door panel was off, thankfully. And I checked my powers and grounds. Well, I didn't have the wiring diagram out at the time because I was just, you know, doing some quick preliminary checks. Then I got the wiring diagram out. Started here, power supply. This is the power supply for, I guess, the accessory position. I'm not quite sure how Chevy does it. I'm not sure what the wrap module is. But I do know that this power supply goes to this window switch. So I wasn't too concerned with this stuff over here, because this is what isn't working. That's not working. That's not working. And we did have our 12 volts going in, so that's good. Everything in yellow is good. No, that's not good. That's not good. But that's not good only because it's not coming out of here. But let's start with what's good. This is good, 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 good. We got our power coming into the switch. Let's cut that out because we don't need to be confusing anybody with this. Or myself. Alright, so we had our power coming in. Dark green wire, 12 volts, battery voltage, good to go. Checked our ground. No go right here. This ground wire, not good. So we're gonna unhighlight it. So, from experience, typically the wires will break in between the door where it flexes, or right at the door crease because it's just a sharp edge or whatever. But it's usually where the door flexes, opens, and closes for hundreds of times throughout the the life of the car. They'll break there, they'll break at the connector somewhere close to that crease right there. Well, close to that flex point. So I tugged on that black wire and it moved. It moved a lot more than I would like it to move. But I was not able to pull it all the way through because somebody had done a repair previously and there was a big butt connector on the end of that wire stopping me from pulling it through the harness. So I dug a little further and I found the wire repair that somebody had done and it broke. There was a big butt connector. You can see a picture there. Pictured there. And that's what I fixed. I made the repair, stuck it back into pin B. Yes, why did I put it into pin B? I don't know. I made a mistake. I wasn't paying attention. But after I figured it out, another 10 minutes later, me fiddling around trying to figure out why it still didn't work, I figured out, I stuck it into the wrong pin. So I put it back into pin F and the window worked. It's really just that simple. But we can go on to a little bit of a brief description of how this system works. Power comes in, goes into the master window switch, goes into all of the window switch. This would be the driver's front. That is going to be passenger window switch, left rear, right rear. Each one of those window switch gets the power supply from the green wire, main power supply. Now, what's this? This is what's throwing me off the yellow. That's hot at all times. I see. Alright. Anyway. So we got our power coming in. We got a good ground. And let's say we wanted to control this window with this switch. So we would need to go to the left rear window switch. We press the button. Left rear window down signal. It's going to send the signal through this purple wire. Probably a 5-volt signal. Could be a ground switch signal. Could turn this 5. It could be 5 volts here all the time. And then when you press that switch, it'll go to ground. Either way, something will change on that purple wire. This module here, which is the left rear window switch, will pick up on that change and it will act accordingly. It will send power to one of these wires, which is it'll probably be ground on both of these wires all the time. Or maybe not. And then once it receives that signal from this purple wire will send a signal to this switch here, to this module, and this module will either turn this one positive or turn this one positive. And being that there's ground on both of those wires, on this wire and this wire all the time, it will activate the motor up or down, turn it counterclockwise or clockwise. And that's pretty much how it works. And it would be the same thing for the up signal. Green wire, something would change on that green wire, be it sending a ground signal or a 5-volt reference signal. It's going to send some type of a signal to this logic module, and that module is going to turn this motor counterclockwise or clockwise, depending on what's being told by the window switch. Now, if you're not sure what type of signal you should have on this purple or green wire, what you can do is check a window that is working properly. If this is acting up and you suspect that this is the culprit, you can check another side. Check the passenger or the right rear window switch instead of left rear. You can check this one light green, purple, and see what you have going on there when you hit the switch. And that's how you'll know. That's how you know what you should have.